Satnam, everyone. My name is Reg, and welcome to Goals with Rev Reg Show. I'm here today with the founder of I Am Kamalayan movement, who is also the author of this book, Lessons I Never Learned in School. So I'm very excited because we're gonna learn a lot about consciousness, and we call it Kamalayan in Filipino. So anyway, before I proceed, I want to say hi first to all our viewers around the globe, and thank you to the International Metaphysical Ministry for always supporting the show, Dr. Diana Bihuni, Dr. Cindy Palos, Michelle Angela Burr, Ro Guzman, thank you for watching, Justin Westridge, and thank you as well to my friends who actually liked the post even ahead of the show. Ro Guzman, Carlo Inigo, Sandra, Marie, Edlin, Rommel, Joy, Adreneda, Alaric, Ayan, Lance, Rowena, Arnel, Miles, Vicky, Shirley, Leo, Al, my master, Enrique, Master Isa, Nikay, Dr. Jose, Rivas, and Jenny. So hello everyone, thank you for watching, and I'm very excited because before the show, around 3 a.m. this morning, I was looking for something, and when I was looking for something, I came across my certificate from a workshop, and apparently it's the workshop that my guest today gave 4 years ago. So 3 years after that workshop, it was written there that that personality test can actually help you which direction will be the best route for you to take in terms of career direction. So 3 years after taking it, I became an ordained minister. What do you call it again, Sir Tato? A Myers-Briggs?
Well, it's a Myers-Briggs personality test. Yes, MBTI. Yeah, Myers-Briggs testing, whatever.
So when I found that certificate, and then today, when I also read what that personality characteristics have, or what will be best for that person to experience in their future, I got really surprised because it's very accurate. And then fairly recently, about 2 weeks ago, I took another test similar, and then I got the result that I'm INFJ personality. So anyway, for us to enjoy what those are, I'm gonna give the floor to Tato because apparently I really have no idea what those are. But so far, it really did provide the clarity and the description of what I've been experiencing 4 years after taking that workshop with him. So, Satnam, Tato.
Satnam, yeah. So how do you say Satnam?
Satnam.
All right. Anyway, maganda, or good afternoon, everyone. I'm very new in this concept, this format of Reg, because Reverend Reg, because in my program I'm talking Tagalog.
Yes.
Here I am supposed to speak in English because I think this is for an international audience. So, well, hello. And first of all, I'd like to correct one thing here. I actually don't give a Myers-Briggs test. I cannot give it because basically it is a there is someone who has, or there is a group or an organization that owns the rights or the right to actually officially give it, and unless you are affiliated with them or you actually get it from them,
Yes.
that's the only time you can really get the kind of a test.
Yes.
Now the thing here is, this is what I require from my seminar participants. Like I ask them, do you still remember your Myers-Briggs personality test if you took it up sometime in college or lately or whatever? And if they say yes, I ask them what their code or the letters are, because there are 4 letters in that particular particular test. The thing is, if they don't actually, or they haven't taken the test yet, what I normally would suggest was for them to take it up or to get a test from either the school where they graduated from, because I think all schools or most universities actually have it in their guidance department, so they can take that test. So that's the best way for you to be able to find out if you can really are going to get a complete, or I would say a comprehensive personality test, because a lot of them are available in the internet.
Yeah.
But the questions are kind of limited, so it doesn't really make you, or I don't think that you will really be able to get a real correct analysis of your personality in doing the internet thing. But if you insist in just doing the internet thing, at least there are, I think, several of them available. So take all of them, and if they all say the same thing in terms of the results, well,
Yeah.
I think that is your basis already of saying that, yes, this is my personality type.
Yes.
So I just want to correct that I am not actually giving it.
Yes.
But I encourage people to remember it, or if they haven't taken it up or taken the test yet, take it up, whatever. I think there's a Myers-Briggs organization here in the Philippines. Look it up in the internet, so you will know exactly where they are located. And the moment you know your code, let me know, because what I gave Reg, or Reverend Reg here, was something that I researched from a certain book that I discovered that really would expound on the possibilities of whatever personality type there is, as to what it can, or what you can do in terms of a job, a work, an advocacy, a profession, whatever.
Yeah. Actually, I find it very interesting. Thank you for that, Tato. Because personally, for me, I never thought that I was gonna be a minister of metaphysics. In fact, when Tato and I were talking earlier, excuse me, I have a scratchy throat today, pardon me. Anyway, while I was talking to Tato, I was telling him, a couple of years ago, I wanted to work like just in the background. Excuse me. Sorry for that. Anyway, I wanted to work in the background. I wanted Tato and my other teacher at that time to be the frontliner. So I wanted to be behind the scenes. And
just support.
yeah, the interesting thing is, what happened was, when I read that INFP thing yesterday, it says there,
INFP stand for introvert, intuitive, feeling, and perceiving.
Alright, thank you for that.
Okay, so people might not know exactly what we're talking about here. So, introvert as against extrovert, intuitive as against thinking, intuitive and sensing rather, because other side is sensing. The third one is feeling and thinking. I'm sorry, yeah. Did I say feeling? Okay. ENFP, ENTP, alright, yeah. Thinking and feeling, sensing and intuitive. And the last one, the last of the four, perceiving and judging.
Alright.
Alright. So there are certain qualities there in every word, in every letter.
That's great. So, anyway, it was very beneficial for me because when Tato and I were talking about it earlier before the show, I was telling him, what I read from there, if you're an INFP personality, you don't really see yourself like you're gonna come out in public
Mhm.
but because of what you're trying to demonstrate, because of your vision, sooner or later you will find yourself
Limelight.
in the limelight. So basically, that's
Spotlight.
what happened with the Goals with Rev Reg show. So anyway, one of the things that I'm raving about Tato is because, he did formally finish college, but the very interesting thing about him is he's a lifelong learner.
I
And-
educated myself, self-education, right?
Yeah, and I think it's a very important quality for any human being to have that kind of consciousness, that you'll always keep learning, because it will really open doors for you. It will widen opportunities for you. And the faster you're able to apply the things that he says, especially in his book, Lessons I Never Learned in School.
Because I never learned any lesson in school. So,
So anyway, I'm gonna give him the floor, because here, Tato, we talk about three things: doing what you love, loving what you do, and loving yourself better.
okay.
And a lot of the things that he discusses in the book, Lessons I Never Learned in School, actually covers that. So one of the things that I told him that I love most about what he said, Jesus said in the Bible, ask and you shall receive. Ask and it will be given you. And he said, Jesus didn't say, ask, work hard, and it shall be given you. So can you please expound on that?
All right. All the things that I actually learned later on to, not exactly to refute what I had been reading in the past, because basically, okay, let's put it this way, before I really answer that question,
Yes.
I actually went through school. I went through school. I tried to be a regular student, but unfortunately, I couldn't really see myself in terms of being studious in terms of what was required as a student. So what I did was to just befriend my teachers, so that at least I would get a passing grade, or I'd bribe my classmates to do my homework, so that at least all the requirements needed I still would be able to submit. And sometimes I cheated, but many of those times when I cheated, I got caught, so I would get a flunking grade. So I went through the process of going to school. I had to go to school daily, because what I really was sure of was, if you were always present, at least no teacher will actually fail you. So that was my only hope, that because of my presence in school, I would still be able to pass the course. So, all right, so I thought I finished my schooling. I think I even overstayed in college for another year.
Overstayed.
Because the course I took up, we weren't plenty in terms of the number of students taking up the particular course. So every time we wanted a course to be open, with the quota to be able to open a subject was not reached. So we would wait for another semester
Yes.
for it to be offered again. Unfortunately, again, the same problem, no quota, so no subject. And so I said, my God, if this goes on forever, I'll stay forever in school.
Yes.
I'm not learning anything already anymore, and my parents are spending so much already for my tuition, and so I might as well quit.
Yeah.
And that's some reason why I quit college without getting the diploma, because I really wanted to get the diploma, but then again, as I've said, how long would I wait for the department to offer the subjects? All right, so what happened was, I got out from school, I went around to scout for jobs. I took the entrance exams. Unfortunately, I failed the IQ tests.
Mm.
So uh, uh, what was it telling me? I never learned anything from school. So I told myself, I think I have to go back and try to study again the old books I never opened in the first place, from high school to college. But then again, when I did that, I still couldn't get past or get through the next page because
Yes.
I mean my attention was not. I couldn't focus on it rather. I mean, I wasn't really interested in the book itself or in the subject itself. So nothing would keep me from being interested in reading further. So what happened was, all right. During the time when I was trying to review all those things, a friend of mine, I met again a friend of mine who graduated from a very, I would say, a prestigious university. He actually graduated summa cum laude.
Yeah.
And so I said, wow, you're so lucky. I mean, not exactly just lucky, but, privileged as well. Because I think most of the companies were offering him a lot of jobs. A lot of companies were offering him jobs, and the perks were actually really given to him in terms of what he wanted. I said, I envy you. And then he said, what he told me changed my life. He said, don't envy me. It's better that you don't know anything. I told him, what do you mean better? I'm better than you. No, because it's really true. What he told me really changed my life rather. What he said was, yes, I am a summa cum laude graduate. I mean, I learned so much. Now I have a hard time unlearning everything I learned from school, because everything has changed. I have to now learn a lot of new things, but a lot of them, even if I'm able to study the newer things, the things in my past learning are still there. I mean, I just couldn't get over it. And like you don't have anything in your brain, so you can already now put in the best things that you need right now. And I said, where will I find the new lessons? Do I have to now? What I'm doing now is I'm reading my past books, my previous books in college and high school. He told me don't go back to them. Many of them are passé already, and even now it's a good thing I did not really study, because like what is really now in the news is that many of the textbooks are actually fake textbooks, because a lot of fake information inside the textbooks. And so imagine if I learned all of those information that were fake. So that would make me a fake graduate.
Yeah. So anyway, thank you for that.
So what happened? Okay. So I asked him, what do I do now? And he said, the best place to go to. I said, library? No, not even the library. Go to the bookstore, because that is where you'll find the latest, the newest. Because everything has changed. You have to learn now the latest. So, okay. So you have recommendations? No, I leave it up to you. Whatever would interest you, just grab it, read it, and study it, whatever. And that's what I did. I went to the bookstores and looked around, and there were some that really got me interested in really browsing at first, until I realized I could finish a book inside the bookstore.
Yeah.
For the first time, I was reading a chapter, without actually really having
Exerting
this,
effort.
exerting that effort, that kind of feeling, wow, what's this? I don't feel like finishing this or whatever. Until I thought I couldn't anymore finish everything that I would see there, so I would buy a lot of them already. So I bought plenty. And so what happened was, I would just read. And one time, I visited a friend of mine a certain company where I applied
Yeah.
for, where I actually did not get to be admitted because I failed their IQ test.
Mm.
And so I just went because he invited me for dinner and said, okay, just drop by the office, we'll go out after work. And so I went. And then we were talking about a lot of things, not knowing that their boss, his boss, was listening in the
Yeah.
other, I mean, nearby, in another room, but basically nearby. And he went to me and said, you know, you should be working for us. I said, why? I applied here. I mean, the company did not get me because I failed the test. No. I like your ideas. You should be working for us. I will put up a new department. You know, I was so surprised with his with what he was saying. And true enough, he put up a new department. He made me the head of the new,
Wow.
that new department. And my friend even became under me. That new department. And so this was when I realized there was something that happened to me drastically. And so when I analyzed what happened to me, well, it was a result of all the books that I had been reading. But to be more specific, I think I developed two intelligences in me. One intelligence was this interpersonal intelligence,
Mm-hmm.
interpersonal, where you can actually talk to anyone, you know, be at home with anyone for that
Yeah.
matter, with everyone, not only anyone, with everyone practically. And the other intelligence was intrapersonal intelligence, knowing oneself, self-awareness. So that was when I learned who I was.
Mm-hmm.
Everything I could do just to find out as to who I am, that's what I did. So I subjected myself to a lot of tests, personality tests, to find out really what made me tick, what made
Yeah.
me tick. And so what happened was, I practically was able to see my strengths, my weaknesses, my loves in terms of what I wanted really, what I
Yeah.
did like as well. So I focused on the things that were interesting for me. I disregarded things that were not interesting for me. And I got obsessed with success.
Mm-hmm.
I bought a lot of success books.
Yeah.
And so I actually read a lot of success authors from Paul Mandino, Napoleon Hill,
Yeah.
and these were my textbooks. This became my textbooks. And because I was obsessed with success, all my dreams, all the things I wanted to be, I became successful.
Yeah.
To the point that I was very, very successful. Until I realized after being successful, I said, no, this is not for me. Well, people were telling me, how come? Why did you quit? I mean, why did you stop from doing this? Or why did you not? Why did you not push through with what you were already good at? I said, yeah, I was good at it, but then again I realized I wasn't happy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Now the thing is, why did you do it? I told him, well, if I didn't do it, I wouldn't know. So I had to try it. But when I tried it, I became successful.
Yeah.
And so that's what happened to me. I became a recording executive, a television director. I became a book author. I became a professor in college.
Yeah.
I became
In one of the most prestigious schools here in the Philippines.
Assumption.
And just to give you, yeah, go ahead, Sir Tato, because I wanted to share something amazing about him.
Yeah,
Go
okay,
ahead.
sige, go ahead.
Yeah, and one of the things that's truly admirable about him, I think it's Eddie Garcia, right, whom you worked with in one movie.
Yeah, one movie.
And it's really amazing because Eddie Garcia is one of the most respected, critically acclaimed actors here in the Philippines. And he got to work with someone like that, who's
Yeah.
practically a legend.
Ito, I mean, alright.
Who is a
Okay.
legend.
I wanted to be a movie actor because I took up actually theater arts in college.
Yeah,
So I said, most logical thing for me was to get into acting.
yeah,
So I said, I want to be a movie actor because there's no money in stage. Stage
Yeah.
acting. No. That was the old
mindset.
mindset. But now, I mean, it's a very prestigious thing to be part of the stage or theater.
Yeah.
But again, as I've said, I wanted to be on television and in movies. And so I told myself, all right, I will just have to dream it, claim it, and it's going to be there. And true enough, I got a phone call from someone from production of Mother Lily, Regal Films,
Yeah.
said, asking me if I could appear in one of their movies. Okay, I didn't know what role that what was supposed to be given to me. I said, all right, I will just be there. So I appeared, and not knowing the person that I'm going. And then, this is something that is really off the. I was kind of. I mean, I'm not going to suggest this, but then again, this was like a joke for me.
Mm.
I told the guy who called me up, yes, I will say yes to that role, provided I will only appear in a one-day shooting. Don't give me a big role because I don't want to be. I don't want to be. I would say committed to a long term production because
Yeah.
I still have other things to do.
Yeah.
Because I might not be able to really come back. So one-day shooting, and I want to have. My role is supposed to be with the lead role,
Mm.
whoever that is,
Yeah.
and with speaking lines.
Wow.
True enough, that's what they did. Every time they would call me up, it was one-day shooting.
Yeah.
I actually have a scene with the leading character or leading actor or leading actress, whatever. And that's it. I mean, I had it as planned, as I imagined it. So this was when I discovered I can really manifest the things that I wanted
Yeah.
because it happened to me.
Yeah.
This was not something that I would actually. I didn't go out to audition. I didn't go out to offer myself. Hey, can you get me? I can't.
Yeah.
As a matter of fact, the opposite was what I did was, you're getting me? Okay, these are my
Your terms.
my terms.
Isn't that amazing?
So, but really, I was a star. I mean, because
Yeah.
I thought myself as of being a star already. So basically, I matched the scene because I had to appear with the star
Yeah.
himself.
Yeah.
So you have to, that's when I realized, whenever you have a dream, you have to match it. I mean,
Yeah.
whatever that dream is,
Yeah.
you have to get into that level.
Yeah, and that's really something that it's very amazing. So I'm clapping for Tato because
Thank
of what
you.
he just shared. I like what he's teaching because here in the Philippines, a lot of the issues why people are having a hard time is because of low self-esteem
Yeah, right.
and their feeling of unworthiness. So all the things that he's teaching in his book is actually very important. And let me share part of it because he mentioned here in page 32 of his book, if you think you are challenged, empowered, and inspired to change belief systems and behaviors, to face new needs, unmet potentials, and opportunities of a changing reality needed in this changed world, welcome to this 21st century community of learners called Kamalayan learners. Kamalayan learners are individuals from any culture, nationality, tradition, or religion who learn a new level of consciousness wherein they transcend with courage and creativity, perceive chaos, difficulties, disorders, fears, and confusion brought about by old beliefs through a new vision of life, love, and spirituality. And that's really amazing for someone who's self-educated to come up with content like this. I love it because one time Tato asked me when I was the guest in his show, and he asked me, I've been reading a lot of books myself, and I've also been going to a meditation place. So why did I decide to pursue my studies? And just like what he said, you have to be at par with the changing times.
Right.
And that's what he's also trying to get across all his viewers in his show and all his readers. And it's really the only way to keep up with the change. So if in order for you to overcome your limitations, your consciousness has to expand, has to be at par with the frequency of what you are desiring. And his book is actually very important. I wish they taught this in preschool.
Preschool.
Because, when Tato asked me a question during his show, he asked me, what's the difference when you are studying metaphysics and then you just read about it? One, I was looking at the commitment level of the practitioners. But you see, commitment is decided by every individual. And look at Tato. Look at him. He's the kind of person, whether or not a teacher will motivate him to do something or not, because he knows what he wants, he's gonna keep moving in the direction of what will expand his potential. And ideally, that's what everybody should be doing.
Yes.
So,
You don't have to go back to school or
yeah.
it's always, everything is available online,
Yeah.
bookstores, whatever. Practically, there is everything already for everyone. So I don't see any reason why we cannot actually now have that kind of a momentum in terms of learning. There's so many things to learn, new things as well.
Yeah. And I wanted to read this because about 2 weeks ago, a client of mine sent me a message in Facebook. And apparently, someone posted, if you don't have a degree for this particular industry, don't teach it. But then, I was concerned because I know I have a lot of friends who are geniuses in their fields and they don't have a degree for it. And most of the time, most people are intimidated by those who have degrees because they feel, because they went to school for it, then they're probably better at doing it more than me. But that's simply not the case because if you go back to Tato, he's the living example of someone who can actually achieve a lot of purposeful things for himself and for others just by having the commitment to grow, to expand, and be receptive.
As long as you know why you're doing it.
Yeah.
So, for example, okay, I think you're referring to something like related to acting. Right?
Yeah.
Okay, acting, all right. Many of those who are actually in this field of, I would say, theater or in the movies, they're supposed to be skillful in terms of the art of acting.
Yeah.
So they have to learn all the necessary techniques.
Yes.
All right. So I think what was being mentioned there earlier, when you were actually just saying it, what right do you have if you did not go to school or you did not?
Yeah. Finish
to
college
it.
degree. Yeah.
All right. Okay. So I think what was referred to there was the technique
Yeah.
that was supposed to be learned.
Yeah.
All right. Techniques can be learned, can be taught. All right. In Kamalayan, what I actually teach is different. I don't teach you techniques. I don't teach you how to act. I
Yeah.
presume that you already know how to act. Or even if you don't know how to act, no problem. Because what I teach in Kamalayan is, the question I ask is, do you want to be a star?
Mm.
Because, all right, in acting, there are several actors who are nameless in
Yes.
terms of what they're doing. Is that bad? No, it's okay. But again, what is your purpose in getting into acting?
Yeah.
More often than not, you want to be a star.
Yes.
So if that's what you want, okay, let's talk. Because that's the only thing I can teach you. I cannot teach you how to act.
Yeah.
Even if I took up theater arts, because I'm not a good actor in the first place. I cannot memorize my lines. That's why I actually, that's why I limit my in terms of my commitment to this shootings or to this particular in the movies as well. So I don't want to really memorize it because I cannot really memorize that
Yeah.
that much. That's my fallback. My Waterloo in terms of not being able to memorize. Now the thing here is, I can teach you how to be a star. if you want to be a star. Because
Yeah.
that was what I experienced as well. Because when I was in the recording business, I worked with unknowns. My job was to discover and to give the albums, the songs,
Yeah.
and to promote
Yeah.
them. Every talent I had, we gave the same kind of support.
Yeah.
The thing here is, how come to those who are more qualified, as we perceive them to be, perceive it to be, more qualified, more even in the looks, they're more beautiful or more handsome, they don't actually become stars.
Yeah.
And somehow there are these unknowns who actually at first glance you would say, no way they can be a star. They
Yeah.
can be stars. And what happened was exactly a surprise for all of us. What we expected was the unexpected. Those who we were not expected to be stars became the stars.
Wow.
And so that was when I tried to analyze what was going on or what went on with these people. And somehow when it comes to talent, they were all talented.
Yes.
But again, as I've said, not everybody became a star. So who became the star? It was a result of their consciousness.
Yeah.
Because if your consciousness would limit you to just be an ordinary performer, you will never be a star.
Yes. Thank you for sharing about consciousness. Can you please expound on consciousness for the new ones who are new to the topic?
Okay, all right. This is how I discovered consciousness. Okay, I actually went to a tarot card reader. In tarot cards, I mean, hula. I mean, these were people who would actually give you or tell you your fortune. All right, so I went to this tarot card reader, and then that reader read my fortune, and I said, I don't like what you're telling me. And then the reader said, the fortune teller said, the tarot card reader said, but that is exactly what is in your cards.
Yeah.
So, no, I don't think that's supposed to happen, or what, because it's too negative. You cannot change it because that's what appeared in your cards.
Yes.
So how can I change that? You change your consciousness. That's what he told me.
Yes.
I said, what do you mean I change my consciousness? Or I change the cards or change whatever? Change your consciousness, because it is your consciousness that actually is manifesting there in terms of what the card is showing, what the cards are showing.
Yes.
So how do I do that? Well, it's all up to you. I mean, your beliefs, because your negative beliefs are the ones already, the ones that I'm reading here. And
Yes.
that is exactly what your future is going to be.
Wow.
So sabi ko, I told myself, if that is the case, my God, I have to study what consciousness is all about.
Mm-hmm.
So that was when I really started really reading a lot of things about consciousness. And true enough, I found it so amazing in terms of what I discovered, that it is our consciousness that really creates our reality.
Wow.
So when I discovered that, my God, I really have to share this concept, I mean this wisdom or this knowledge to people, to everyone, that it is really our consciousness that creates our reality.
Yes.
I mean, no other person will create it for you. It's you yourself.
And it's amazing, Tato, that you shared that, because the card reader you had is actually pretty enlightened.
Yeah.
I don't know so many card readers who would actually ask their client and tell them to check their consciousness.
As a matter of fact, Dream Sensei Lucito knows that card reader,
Wow.
but I think he already moved on.
Great. That's great, because not all card readers that I know, whether they read angel cards or tarot cards, they would actually ask the client to check their consciousness. So it's amazing what you're sharing today, because it's really life-changing. I've used it myself. I was a student a couple of years ago from this workshop. And one of the things that's truly admirable about Tato, when I was listening to him before in the classes, he would say, you actually don't need money to produce what you want to demonstrate in any area of your life. But that's actually a very bold statement because a lot of us have gotten used to you have to produce the money in order to make something happen.
Yeah, you want to travel, you have to have a lot of money.
Yeah.
A new car, you have to have a lot of money.
Yeah, so can you please expound on that, Tato? Because
Alright.
that's very challenging to the to our viewers how they can actually make things happen without the money.
So when I was able to study already all these things in terms of the books that I had been reading,
Yes.
so as I've said, a lot of the books that I've read during that time were success books, and not only success books, but these were books of well, I would say New Thought was not the word then yet, but these were people who actually can use their consciousness already
Yeah.
in manifesting their desire or their dreams. And so I said, through affirmations, I think I can, experiment on whatever I want to have. And
Yes.
true enough, I actually dreamt of so many things. I wanted to travel, I wanted new cars. All right. Okay, let's put it this way. How did I actually now start affirming all these things? As I've said, there were techniques in the books that I have been reading,
Yeah.
but again, in terms of using the techniques, again, it is still again your consciousness that has to match that
Experience.
those things that you would want to actually manifest in your life.
Yeah.
Like for example, can you really see yourself traveling in terms of the countries? Many of us would say, I want to travel. Can you be more specific? Where and why do you want to
Yes.
go there?
Yes.
I knew exactly what I wanted. And so when I actually was able to define the things that I wanted, everything was easy. The problem with many of us who wanted a lot of things, we have this, I would say, vague kind of thing or idea about whatever we are trying to desire. And so we don't get anything. So here I was kind of really specific in what I wanted. And everything just, came to be. And that was when I started really having whatever I wanted to have. So, like for example, I wanted to travel, so I had to first get a passport. And the moment I got a passport, I would get calls from friends. Hey, you want to join us? We're going to have a vacation in this place. And so I said, okay. I didn't say no. I didn't say no because I didn't have the money. I just said, okay. And true enough, they gave me free tickets. So that's exactly how it happens. So you don't have to really have to raise the money. And so this is what I am teaching people. If you really are dreaming of something, you have to know your reasons why, and why do you want it in terms of, is it going to really make you happy, or you just want to make yabang?
Yeah.
Like even if you say you want to manifest a new car, or why? What for? Why not an old car? Because an old car would also do the same thing for you.
Yeah.
Drive you around. Why do you want a new car?
Yeah.
So basically, again, as what I've said, you have to have your reasons. You have to match it. So if you want a new car, what kind of car do you want? Can you match that kind of thinking that you are now owning one
Yeah.
like that? And so,
Anyway, thank you for sharing that. And I apologize, I have to keep going out because I have to do some form of self-care.
okay,
So,
which you cannot do actually in front of the
yeah.
camera.
So thank you because part of what we say here is that you have to love yourself better. So I'm practicing compassion towards myself by leaving the room. So anyway, one of the things that it was really puzzling to me as a reader how Tato Malay shared that principle that when you want something, you have to be, you have to find out your reason for wanting it, and you have to project it to the universe as if it's already done, regardless of the
And you're
money.
enjoying it already.
Yeah.
The feeling is there always. Alright, Eddie, okay. Everything I wanted during that time, I was able to manifest. Everything. From being successful, having a band, being a member of a band, recording, appearing in telenovelas.
Yes.
I was really popular during my time. I mean, sad to say, of course, fame is a fleeting thing. So
Yeah.
after one generation, two generations, they don't know you anymore. So you might wonder, what are you talking about? We don't know you. Well, ask your parents, they might know my name.
Yeah.
But then again, now the thing is, everything I wanted, I was able to easily manifest until there came a time when nothing was happening anymore. I said, why? What happened? I was practically doing the same things. I was practically, I didn't change any technique that I was actually using, but nothing was happening anymore for me. And so that was when I realized there was something wrong. And that was an eye-opener for me, because yes, you can continue manifesting it, but then unless you have it, or if you lose it, you won't get it. And what did I lose? What was lost in me in terms of before I had it, now I didn't have any. I lost the enthusiasm.
Mm.
In other words, I was able to get been there, done that. So what else is new?
Yeah.
So, I mean, I wasn't dreaming of new things anymore. So I wasn't getting any other thing that I wanted. So what was there now for me to do? Get the enthusiasm back. And this is one thing that I want to share with you. The word enthusiasm is rather, I use it more than passion.
Mm-hmm.
Because passion, you can use it negatively. Like there is what we call crime of passion.
Yeah.
But there is
Yeah.
no crime of enthusiasm.
Yes, yes. Yeah, that's true.
But enthusiasm, more than just, the word itself, being enthusiastic. The Greek root word of enthusiasm is entheos, E-N-T-H-E-O-S, which means God within.
Yeah.
So that was when I discovered, my God, enthusiasm is the key to everything that we want to really manifest. Because the feeling is supposed to be there of being enthusiastic. And the feeling of being enthusiastic is really the God within you that is giving you that kind of feeling.
Yes.
So you have to align really with the source. So if you are not feeling enthusiastic about something, that means you're not aligned.
Yes, and I also want to add to what Tato said, because most of the time I get a feedback why I'm always excited or raving about the people I guest in my show. But part of that entheos is feeling in awe about situations and people around you. And one of the things that I learned from another teacher, he was saying, you have to be childlike. You always have to remain in awe of people or situations happening in your life, because it's that being in awe that actually makes you more magnetic to the good that you desire.
Exactly.
So, and it's funny because Tato mentioned it, and in the Bible it says the fear of the Lord is the one that brings you the manifestations. But in fact, the Jewish teacher was correcting it. He was saying, there wasn't any direct translation from the Hebrew language to the English language, and the only thing that they can think of was being in fear. But in fact, he said, you're supposed to be in awe of the Lord. And who is that Lord that we're referring to? The presence of God within you, and the presence of God everywhere around you through people, events, and circumstances. And it's so important because Tato keeps talking about consciousness. So if you don't understand that your environment is an extension of your consciousness.
Yes, everything in your world is basically a result of your consciousness. You created
Yes.
it. We live in different worlds. My world is different from Rev Reg's world.
Yes.
But basically, somehow we get to think of the same things. That's why we can, we can enjoy the same things together.
Yes.
So at different times we live separately in terms of, well, not separately, but not exactly the same.
Yes.
But we're all living as one.
Yes. And I'd like to add, consciousness, another term for that is your kingdom of heaven within you. Since he
Kingdom of
started it with the entheos topic, which is the God within you, your happiness, your joy that's coming out of you, that's radiating from within you. And you know, when we say, because in the metaphysical Bible, we always hear about the word kingdom. But actually, kingdom is your consciousness.
So conscious.
So,
But
if you look at your... Yeah, go
But
ahead.
the thing here is, okay, if you actually go back to the parable of Jesus in terms of the prodigal son,
Yeah.
it's a story about the son who actually got all his inheritance, money from his father
Yes.
to just live a life of luxury, of what you call this, extravagance,
Yes.
of enjoyment, whatever, until he actually lost everything already and he
Yeah.
decided to go back.
Yes.
And when he went back to his father, to the house of his father, the father did not actually reprimand him.
Yeah.
Did not tell him, okay, I'll accept you provided you have to change your
Yeah.
lifestyle, or you have to change the way you live in terms of how you live your life. The father never said anything like that.
Yeah.
And that was one way of Jesus saying that God is an unforgiving father. He doesn't have to forgive
Yeah.
because there's nothing to forgive.
Yeah.
He did not actually get to hurt him.
Yeah.
So, in other words, what the father in the prodigal son did was to welcome,
Yeah.
give a party, put out the new clothes for him,
Yeah.
without any, I would say, hesitation or regret for that matter, that his son did this to him.
Yeah.
There was no accountability in terms of, hey, you know, you got this, you did this, you did. No,
Yeah.
there was no, I would say,
A record of the wrongdoings.
Record of wrongdoings. Everything was just plain love, unconditional love.
Wow.
And that was exactly what Jesus was trying to describe what God or who God is.
Yeah.
And if you're living in that kingdom of God, you are actually living in that unconditional love
Yeah.
that there is. That anything that you want, you will get. And anything that you do will not actually matter in terms of, you cannot hurt God. I mean, I would seem, I would say, mayabang if I would say, I can hurt God.
Yeah.
Because I cannot.
Yes.
I mean, that's why you're God.
Yes.
Almighty.
Yes.
And then you say, I can hurt you? I mean,
Yes. So anyway, I think that deserves, a clap. That's really amazing what Tato is sharing because, one of the things that I really admire about him is him being a voracious reader and being that open and receptive to the spirit that lives in him. Because one of the things that my client and I discussed when you were chatting about this, do you need to get a degree in order for you to teach something? Because I was telling my students, at every level of learning or experience that you have, you already have some form of content to share to someone. And Tato, apparently, his open heart and his open mind made him a receptacle for that spirit to give him more ideas, to give him the power, to give him the influence, to give him the right people and circumstances to align to what he was going to create. And in fact, it's really amazing because I feel that he was destined to create that I Am Kamalayan movement because
Yeah, I am.
his last name is Malay, which
Well,
actually,
people think that I actually used Kamalayan because it was, I didn't realize it until a friend of mine told me, hey, your Kamalayan is Malay. Ano?
yeah. And you know, a lot of the things that he mentioned earlier is actually shocking to our Filipino audience. But it's amazing that he has this courage to share it because in fact, one of the things that I learned this week, someone said, you know, we don't want to talk about politics or we don't want to talk about religion because somehow it rubs people the wrong way when you start opening those topics. But the author said, you know what, maybe what we should do is to learn how to converse about these topics with respect and with balance and harmony so that we can open up ourselves to greater learning, which I think makes a lot of sense. What can you say about that?
Yeah, definitely. All these things that we talked about are being shared by practically, I would say, all religions as well.
Yes.
It's just that they do it differently in terms of how they say it. But, you know, when, for example, I use all, in Kabalayan, I always emphasize the fact that most of my teachings there are Jesus Christ teachings. And nothing has changed. Like, let's go back again when Jesus said, ask and you shall receive.
Yes.
Practically, I did not change anything there. I just used the same thing, ask and you shall receive. And true enough, exactly what he meant was really true.
Yes.
So why is it that many of us don't get what we want when Jesus already said, ask and you shall receive?
Yes.
Well, because as I mentioned earlier, you don't match it. You have to
Yes.
match it because it's always there.
Yes.
According to who you are, you always get your match.
Yes.
So if you want to get a higher thing, or I would say a more expensive thing, you have to match that level. Like for example,
What's the practical
all right. Like for
exercise?
example, when you go to a department store, let's put it this way. When you go to a department store, a rich man or a rich person will actually just look at the clothes
Yeah.
and would say, I want that, I want this, all right, I'll buy that. A poor man would always look at the price.
Yeah.
Kano ba yun? Ay, so, all right, okay. Let's put it this way. Okay, how can I... Now, can you just maybe act it out? Just act it out. You want that? Okay, it's very nice. I want that. All right, you're not going to buy it. Window shopping na tayo.
Yeah.
I mean, so in terms of your taste, have you acquired that kind of a taste?
Yeah.
Why do you want this over the other kinds of clothes?
Yeah.
So, in other words, what I'm trying to emphasize here is the fact that it depends on really what we have acquired in terms of our level of taste, our level of perceiving things. Like, you know, of course, there's nothing wrong with something that is common or ordinary. But then again, you want to elevate something in your lifestyle, you have to elevate it first in your consciousness.
Yes, and you know, it's amazing that Tato shared that because, and I was giggling earlier because I would be the type to actually look at the price tag. And when he was saying that you have to learn that you want that particular brand, by the way, my quote for today is sponsored by someone who's very affluent, so thank you for that. And I think it's true, you have to learn it. And one of the things that I actually want to share to our audience, because we have a lot of artists here in the studio, which we can also copy from Jeff Bezos, the founder of Amazon.
Yeah.
He was saying, in the beginning stage of you trying to fulfill a big dream, like him, it was the Amazon business empire. He was saying that you have to know your business sense. If you're in marketing, if you're in show business, if your work entails you to work with other people, clothes are your investment. And apparently, if you're a tech person and you work behind the scenes, in the beginning phase of what it is that you're trying to launch, you have to spend most of your financial resources in the direction of upgrading your technical stuff. But he was saying, before he became the billionaire he is today, he understood that when your resources are still minimal, you have to learn how to use them wisely. In fact, not only Jeff Bezos, Dan Peña, another billionaire, I really like that guy. Because
I like the way he talks.
yeah, and because he doesn't give you BS stuff. And he tells you right away, you have to practice within when you're without. He was saying that when your material demonstrations are not yet there, you have to work from within. And what is that within again? That's consciousness.
Exactly.
That's what Tato Malay is sharing, and which she simplified for a lot of Filipinos to use and execute as fast as you can.
And it's not being taught in schools.
Yes.
I mean,
one of the things that I really like to share, because not only with Tato, but other bosses here in the studio, we talked about it. Tato mentioned here, you have to give first before you receive. And giving not just in the financial sense, but giving in terms of effort or talent. For instance, I want to just applaud Tato for this, because earlier I was in the elevator and then I bumped into him, and actually I was quite embarrassed because he offered to buy me coffee, when in fact I wanted to be the one to do it, but I was already on the way up. And we want to share this because a lot of people, when they're fresh out of college and they want to shine in the particular industry that they really want, there are certain things that you have to do in the beginning that most people don't want to do. Can you share something?
like for example, when I started in the business, because I worked in the television station before, and so during that time I was a production assistant, and normally as a PA, what is expected of you as a PA? You are an assistant to everyone in the production, from the director to the scriptwriter to the producer to practically everyone. And somehow there are things that are not, there are things that we have to do that we never really studied for, like how to make coffee for our director. And so, all right. I'd like to share. All right, siguro I will mention her name now, because she had been very successful in her where she is now. And I actually had this production. I was the executive producer of a beauty pageant before, a small one, not the Miss Milibini Pilipinas type, but it was televised. So I had to have production assistants. And I asked my friend, a new graduate from UP. Was my namesake as well, Tato. Tato, can you actually recommend to me two classmates of yours, fresh from college, because I want to, I'm looking for two production assistants. All right, so he recommended two girls for me, for my production. And during that time, when we were already doing the production itself, I asked one girl to type the cue cards for the hosts, for the host to read. And then this girl said to me, I did not graduate from UP just to type cue cards.
UP is one of the best universities.
I did not study mass communication in the University of the Philippines just to type cue cards. I said, okay. Because if you will not, I told him, if you will not type those cue cards, I will be the one to type them, because otherwise the host will not be able to read anything while in front of the cameras. So I said, go back and type. And so she followed. Anyway, okay. After that, I didn't work with her anymore. But okay, like my boss before in television, Tony Tuviera, who's now the president of Bulaga, asked me for a PA before. Actually, he wanted me to work with him, but I said, I don't want to work with television anymore because, you know, I had a hard time before, and every time a show doesn't rate, we actually found ourselves out of a job.
Yeah.
Out of a job. So I just recommend people to you. And one of those I recommended, or two of those I recommended, were those people I had in my production.
Wow.
And right now, she's one of the most successful people I've seen in the entertainment business.
Wow.
And well, I would say I've mentioned her name now. Hi Malu, Malu Chowa.
Yeah, so
She
amazing.
She was that girl who didn't want to type my cue cards.
Yeah, so isn't that amazing? Because Tato Malay is talking about Itbulaga, and last week I had Kayla, who's one of the talents in Itbulaga, who came here for the interview.
The one who appeared in the play.
Yeah, in the play Beautiful and
Beautiful, Carol King.
Carol King, yeah. So thank you for sharing that. And do we still have time?
Yeah, we always have time for you.
All right. So anyway, we have.
You can go over time because it's my program in the first place.
So anyway, thank you so much, Tato. We learned so much from all the things that you shared. I apologize to you and to our audience that I had to, leave the set for a few seconds. Because that's part of self-care. Anyway, one of my favorite authors, his name is Don Miguel Ruiz, and he said, your best will change from time to time. Your best will change when you're sick and when you're well. So it's just one of those instances where you have to practice self-compassion. And we really have to talk about this realistically, because in demonstrating our goals, life is going to unfold. There are going to be days when you're well. There are going to be days when you're sick.
But there's a mental equivalent to everything.
Yeah.
So find out exactly what's causing it.
Yeah, what's causing it.
What you're thinking of. Or
yeah, but I know actually because last Sunday I had Kundalini Yoga. And when you do Kundalini Yoga, a lot of your energy centers get activated. Your old beliefs will really get swept away.
So they're still trying to fight that.
Yeah, so that one I know is really coming out of my throat chakra. And it's also the power center. And I'm sharing this because it's funny because the reason why I got the show Goes with Rev Reg. I started my training with Tato for about 4 weeks.
Okay.
And the first time I was here, I really had to do a deep inhale. And Tato was saying, once you're there, you're gonna get the hang of it. And then you're gonna feel that it's so natural to you.
Why don't you have your own show?
Yeah, and so now I'm here and
I'm guessing in her show now.
so it's so funny because now that he's here, I think there's this feeling of my body regenerating, and then we're talking about consciousness and working from the inner. So anyway, in his show and my show, you're gonna understand better what we're talking about, how our goals demonstrate and how our consciousness actually affects our reality. So thank you so much for being part of the show.
Thank you for inviting me here.
And teaching us about consciousness. And always remember, here in the show, we're very supportive of all your goals. And we're gonna start actually a prayer team. So if any of our viewers actually need prayer support because you're demonstrating goals in any area of your life, please feel free to send us your prayer requests. From here locally in the Philippines, we pray over it, and for many other parts of the globe, from ministers or metaphysicians who actually practice metaphysical science prayers, which are actually very different from the ones we've grown up with here in the Philippines. So remember, always do what you love what you do, love yourself better. And before I end the show, the next would be for Tato's shows and his workshops. Where can they find you?
Actually, I don't have anything right now except that I announce them naman in Facebook. I'm just here in Very Good Life every Tuesday from 6 to 7 after Reverend Red's show. So you can always get to know exactly what I'm doing here in my program. So that's it. Thank you for inviting me again here.
Thank you so much. It's a privilege and an honor for us to have someone like you in the show. So, Satnam everyone, have a really great week, and we're all praying for you to get your goals.